If you dream about phones, calls, texts, broken screens, it's rarely about technology. It's about communication, it's about access, it's about something you can't quite reach yet. Here's what phones usually represent in dreams: communication pathways, how you're getting communication to or not getting communication to someone. Maybe access to information that the dream is trying to give you resources for. Oftentimes, I find it's about the ability to connect or respond to the people in your dream or the people that in your dream and what they're representing to you. It also can be authority to speak and authority to be heard. And a little more rarely, in my experience, it can be about timing. So maybe you missed the call or you received the call, and it's all about the timing. Honestly, this is where the dream language comes in, the feelings come in, and you got to identify what is that phone representing in your dream. But before we get into the nuances, I'm going to share a dream as usual with a cell phone in my past and how it worked out. So you can break down what those symbols mean, as well as some other symbols. We're going to focus on the phone today. First, if you are new here, I do dream interpretation every single day. I'm interpreting my own dreams and I'm interpreting dreams for others. And I have found that as you interpret the dreams, it is literally decoding your future. So if this is a topic of conversation you like, please hit the like button and subscribe. So it tells the algorithms that people like you like this content. And it'll also let you know when I put out new videos. Now, let's dig into why you're seeing a cell phone in your dreams. Specifically, let's break down a few conditions that can show up with your phone. Okay, what your phone is representing for you. A broken phone, that is often a dream that's going to come with anxiety or frustration. And it is representing something that is not being communicated in your reality, something that is trying to push through in your reality. Maybe there's a distortion in the communication coming through, or maybe there's a delay. But generally, a broken phone is going to come with a frustration or an anxiety in it. Then there's missed phone calls. And generally, what this means is that you've missed an opportunity. It passed you by and you didn't recognize that there was an opportunity. And the dream is trying to pull you in and say, hey, you missed this opportunity here. Don't miss it again in the future. This is one I've had before. A text that you cannot send. For me, it's often like a picture that I cannot take with my phone, which has to do with identity. A text that you cannot send can often represent like hesitation in something that maybe you know you need to do, or you just don't know how to move forward in. Here is a biggie: looking for your phone. That tends to be that you are looking for direction. You're looking for clarity. And the other parts of your dream are going to lead to what direction or clarity, specifically, what part of your life are you looking for that in? Phones are such an important part of our everyday life right now in the modern world that we live in, that when they show up in your dream, they are generally the key symbol to that dream. They're going to give you the key that unlocks the meaning to the rest of the symbolism in the dream. I'm going to share a dream with you that I had, October 9th of 2021. This has come to pass. I'm going to share some nuances with it, and I'm going to leave the name out because it's an actual person in the dream. So let's look at this at a practical level for you. When you have a cell phone in your dream, try to think of the context of your life at that time. A lot of my dreams are future oriented. This one was not. This one was directly impacting what was happening in my life right then. And that's part of what you're going to do. You're going to look at the feelings and you're going to look at the symbols and you're going to find the one key symbol that unlocks the whole thing. Okay. And there's two parts to this. One is a vision I had that night before having the dream, and I don't have visions a lot, so it's very notable when I have one. My best friend, that's her primary language. She receives visions a lot, and that helps direct her and I a lot of the time. But I just do not receive visions. So the fact that I wrote out that I had a vision that night before falling asleep and having this dream is significant, and I'll break that down for you. All right. I had a vision in the night of a spider, but it is dead, wrapped in a web. It's very key. I'm going to break that down for you in a moment. I dream, so now I go to sleep. I dream that I am fixing the blankets up right after laying in this person's bed. This person is in a room beside the bed, and he is speaking loudly on the phone in order to be heard correctly. a man on the opposite side of the bed that I'm beside. So I don't really write this out well in the dream, but I remember this dream. I'm on the floor beside a single bed, and over here in another room is the person that is the focal point of the dream. And then behind me is the bed, or beside me, I guess, depending on how I'm oriented. And then on the other side of that bed is another person, just to orient you there. Okay. A man on the opposite side of the bed is trying to communicate something to this person in my dream, and he is frustrated. But there is interference, so this person cannot hear him. I try first to get this person's attention for the man on the other, that's a little confusing, but for the man on the other side of the bed, which I can't. And then I try to explain to this man on the other side of the bed that there's too much interference right now. So this dream, although it was for the person represented in the dream, it, I say that lightly, this dream was not to be shared. And this is kind of what I touched on the other week with when you're having dreams for others. And I have a significant amount of dreams about or for others. Even though this dream was very specifically about that person, it was still for me. It was information for me, not to go and share with that person. And to this day, I've never shared it with that person, which is why I'm being so careful. But I want to use it as a reference for you guys. There's a few things I'm going to talk about. Okay. In the vision that I had that night about the spider, but it was dead and wrapped in a web. Spider. A spider can mean a lot of things, actually, but for this instance, I believe it was a threat. Danger of entanglement. If you think of a spider web, you can get entangled, or bugs that are going to get eaten, they get entangled in a web. You can get entangled in a web of lies. You can hear the euphemisms there. Okay. But in particular, what was preparatory for the dream I was about to have is that this threat or potential entanglement was actually dead, and it was wrapped in its own web. So, wrapped in its own web of lies, per se. That influenced my perception of the person that this dream is then about. Okay, let's break it down. So, a couple of things. Bed. Bed can mean so much in dreams, guys. You just can't even begin. You have to see the overall arching picture of the puzzle of your dream. But in this dream, it's alignment, because I just know the person that it was about back then. Okay. So this was an alignment. And here's what's so important. I'm fixing up the blanket of this alignment. And blanket can mean different things. And it's been in many of my dreams and meant something different almost every single time. But in this one, the blanket meant authority. So there's an alignment, and I'm kind of fixing up the authority within this alignment. Okay. Now I'm kind of on the floor, which is like the foundation maybe, or the beginning of this, next to that alignment and authority. So I'm not quite in it. Does that make sense? And this is part of why I never shared the dream, because the language was being very clear to me that I might be preparing or fixing an authority within this alignment, but I'm not in it right now, which means that this dream would not be well received. So I'm going to use it for my information only. The person on the other side of that bed trying to communicate to the person, focal point of the dream in the other room, is, in my opinion, God. God is trying to go first through to that person with specific messages, and it's not reaching them, and then tries to go through my dream language. So this is a person I shared a lot of dreams with. I had a lot of dreams for this person. So, and up to that point, there had been some alignment on those dreams and some kind of exploring the authority there, back there in 21, okay? But the communication is still not able to get through. And here's where the cell phone comes in. So the person in the other room that is trying to be communicated to through me, and it's not working, there's interference, that phone that he is on, that shows where his heart is. That shows the noise that's going on, and he's speaking loudly. So, like, he is boldly receiving the noise from his phone that's coming into his heart. And because he is boldly, outwardly, strongly, full on into this conversation that he is receiving into his heart, all that communication, right? He is unable to hear from God on certain things. And he's unable to hear through my dreams on those things either. Now, as you can tell, it was important that I didn't share this dream because I didn't have the authority in that relationship at that point to have it received well. I took it though. I received, like, what's the point of the dream? I received that dream to recognize that I could lay down maybe my sense of obligation. I was having so many dreams at this period of time and still trying to really understand how to interpret them. So I had to lay down the expectation for myself that I had an obligation to get these messages to be received or to send them. It was around this time, I'm trying to remember, I think it was around this time, maybe a little later, that I just backed off. I just backed off from it. And that was the right thing to do. And this dream took the sense of responsibility off my shoulders because it was clear that that person is just not in a place to receive. Do you see how important? So it seemed like the cell phone was just a small part of that dream, but it was the key. It was the key that unlocked all the other meanings. The bed, what the bed meant in this particular dream, the blanket, the person on the other side of the bed, the fact that that person is on the floor and I'm on the floor. Neither of us are sitting in the bed, right? Neither of us are in the place of alignment or authority at that time. And it allowed me to rest. It allowed me to not feel responsibility. And that made a huge difference in my life. That made a huge difference in the relationship with that person. And in my opinion, as I've always said, dreams are meant to push you into your future, to decode what's happening right now in order to align you with your future. And it did that for me. It did that for me on many different levels that I couldn't even go into right now. Try to figure out, what information was I trying to convey? What information do I need, or did I need, or am I needing in real life right now? Who am I trying to reach in the dream? And do they represent a real person, or does that person represent something inside of me, which is often the case? And did the dream feel like delay or unclear? For instance, in my dream, it felt like frustration. It wasn't even my frustration. It was the frustration from the man on the other side of the bed. But it was clear for me that that frustration meant step away, because remember, dreams should bring clarity and they should bring peace, not more frustration or angst. If you still have angst about your cell phone dream, stop, slow down, get in community, and get to the bottom of the symbols and how all those symbols fit into a puzzle piece in order to get your clarity to move forward. All right, so that's a breakdown of cell phones in your dreams. I know many of you are having them. I know I have had many of them. Make sure you use that. Honestly, it's probably going to be the key term, the key symbol in your dream. So take it, use it as the ability to decode the rest of the dream and therefore decode your future. If you made it all the way through to the end of this episode, thank you so much for watching. I love talking about dreams and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, hit the subscribe button because this channel is only here because of you. And if you